On this edition of NewsTeam Boulder for October 7th, 2021, an annual report shows crime decreased on campus, low-income housing options are being planned for CU's South Campus, and relief is on the way for student loan borrowers. All this and more on NewsTeam Boulder. It may come as no surprise that with fewer people on campus, there will be less crime. Hello, welcome to NewsTeam Boulder. I'm Georgia Worrell. The University of Colorado Boulder saw a decrease in crime on campus in 2020. The recent annual Security and Fire Safety Report was released last night with an update on these rates. With more on this story, Kaylee Elkins is at the CU Boulder Police Office on campus.
CU Boulder is required by federal law to publish an annual report of crime data. This includes murder, manslaughter, sexual assault, robbery, and other forms of crime. This report was just published last night. According to CUPD chief, crime in all categories were at an all-time low.
This can be attributed to the increase in all remote learning last year because of coronavirus precautions. This resulted in fewer students on campus, thus less crime. Categories such as murder and manslaughter remained at zero. The most common offenses also decreased. Arrests for drugs and alcohol dropped in this past year. With more insight on why this is, Christine Mahoney tells us more.
I think that the pandemic actually provided our campus a pretty unique opportunity to focus on some of our more progressive initiatives when we had fewer students on campus and crime was down. So one thing that we're doing for this academic year is starting up a new program where we're issuing administrative tickets for some low-level, non-violent first offenses like minor in possession of alcohol. So instead of a criminal summons to go to court, a student is given the opportunity for more of an educational approach to this.
The decreased student population due to COVID allowed CUPD to work on new measures in order to help the CU Boulder community, as we can see in the recent report. Crime is at an all-time low here in Boulder. Hopefully, it stays this way.
On Wednesday evening, the Boulder County Sheriff's Office received a call from a group of 4 climbers who located a fallen climber while at El Dorado Canyon State Park. The 31-year-old climber was believed to be free soloing at the time of the incident. When the other climbers found him, he wasn't breathing and he appeared to be unconscious and deceased. Rocky Mountain Rescue Group and Rocky Mountain Fire were first to arrive on the scene. Rescuers determined that the climber was indeed deceased. During their investigation, detectives did not find anything to be suspicious about the circumstances of the climber's death. They said that there is no threat to the public. The fallen climber's name is being withheld pending positive identification and notification to the family. The latest number of COVID-19 cases in Boulder County show good news. The numbers seem to be trending downwards. According to Deputy Director of Boulder County Public Health, Lexi Nolan, we shouldn't get our hopes up too high too soon.
We're not out of the woods yet. We still have some work to do and a little more tracking and some stabilization. We are going to see kids' vaccinations soon, and we're not planning on moving to change public health orders in the immediate future.
For kids, the Pfizer vaccine might be available soon. Pfizer is officially asking the Food and Drug Administration to approve its COVID vaccine for emergency use in 5 to 11-year-olds. According to the company's trial data, a dose 1/3 the size used in adults and children 12 and over produced strong immune responses in children when using the same two-dose regimen as in adults. Pfizer submitted that data to the FDA last month, but didn't say until Thursday it is asking for emergency use authorization. The FDA's advisory committee that discusses vaccines had already planned a meeting for October 26th in anticipation of the request. Pfizer's COVID shot is currently the only one that is fully approved for adults 16 and older in the U.S. It also makes it the only vaccine that has been granted emergency usage for 11 to 15-year-olds. Wardenburg Health Center is now offering free flu shots to all students. Let's hear more from NewsTeam Boulder's Faye Callahan at the Health Center.
COVID can be asymptomatic or cause a cold, a fever, or even fatal symptoms, which is very similar to the flu. Both COVID and the flu spread in the exact same way, and you might not even know you've had either for a period of time. But last year, the FDA estimated 400,000 were admitted into the hospital for the flu. And while we're still in a pandemic, it is so important to not underestimate the flu and get your flu shot so hospitals aren't overcrowded and you can keep yourself and others safe around you.
Flu shots are provided at a variety of locations throughout campus during the flu season, so feel free to make an appointment and head on in. They will not be available to CU Boulder faculty and staff, but other locations in Boulder, including CVS Pharmacy, will be giving out free shots as well. Continue to wear a mask and follow social distancing.
It is important to get your flu vaccine because it helps your immune system get ready for the flu. So even if you get the flu shot and you do get sick with the flu, you won't have very severe symptoms. So if you have the flu vaccine, your body is already ready because it has either a weakened form or a protein from the actual flu already inside them, so that their immune cells are already ready and understand what's going on so they can fight it off a lot quicker.
Especially with the upcoming holidays and travel season, think about those around you and trying to keep them safe. But also think about the healthcare workers. We don't want overcrowding for them in hospitals and medical centers. So think about getting your flu shot. For further information for CU students, you can go to Health Promotion at CU Boulder and learn about locations and time that you can get your free flu shot.
Coming up after the break, the City of Boulder plans to build low-income housing on land recently annexed by CU. And later, relief for student loans? Boulder City Council voted 6-1 in favor of the CU South annexation. Almost half of the land owned by the university is now part of the city. The City Council has many reasons for approval. Aniele Villalobos has more details on the story.
Housing is going to ultimately be the predominant use of the site when it does get developed, is to provide more opportunities for our workforce, for our staff, and for our students to be able to live at the site.
Además de incrementar la vivienda dedicada para el uso de la universidad, 5 acres de terreno serán dedicados a viviendas de costo accesible para todos los residentes del área.
Yo pienso que ayudaría mucho a la ciudad porque ayudaría a las personas de bajos recursos a tener su propia vivienda o a vivir allí y estar felices con su familia o ellos solos. Aquí es bien caro para vivir, las cosas están por los cielos que no puede uno pagar las cosas, a veces anda uno hasta nervioso, con estrés, con todo ese tipo de cosas porque no tiene la manera cómo vivir aquí.
Diariamente trabajadores como Rodolfo viajan desde otras ciudades de Colorado para trabajar en Boulder. Por eso una de las prioridades de este tratado es la de proveer viviendas para personas que no ganen lo suficiente para vivir aquí.
If we wanted to be a diverse community, if we wanted to be an inclusive community, which are stated goals in the city's comprehensive plan, then we would have to intervene in the market and provide affordable housing for, in particular, low and moderate income households.
155 acres de terreno que pertenecían a la Universidad de Boulder pasan a manos de la ciudad gracias a la anexión aprobada recientemente. Esto con fines de construir un sistema de mitigación de inundaciones, al igual que para reducir la escasez de viviendas con precios accesibles.
The city can build flood protection for 2,300 downstream residents in the city, as well as preserve 119 acres as permanent open space.
Esto ayudará a mejorar la calidad de vida de muchos residentes en el área durante la temporada de lluvias. También asegurará que la comunidad siempre tenga acceso a estos espacios abiertos.
Yo les agradecería mucho que eso, para que pudieran, ese proyecto me gustaría que se hiciera para que la gente pudiera vivir y que fuera accesible para toda la gente y vivir aquí.
El señor Rodolfo Muñoz gasta gran parte de su salario en gasolina. para poder llegar a su trabajo. Y como él, hay muchos que si este proyecto de viviendas accesibles se realiza, se verán beneficiados.
And coming up, how will the weather behave this weekend? Catherine Zamora will give us the details.
In Alabama, 2 people were killed and 2 others are missing after flash flooding overnight. Crews across Birmingham rescued dozens of people trapped in their homes and cars. Up to 10 inches of rain fell across the area Wednesday night into Thursday. Officials in Arab say the body of a 4-year-old girl was found, and in Union Grove, officials say an 18-year-old woman died. In Hoover, fire officials say a vehicle entered a flooded area and was immediately picked up and pinned against a guardrail. Crews could not get to the 2 people inside the car, which ended up being pushed over the guardrail. Dive teams are now looking for the 2. The fire chief from nearby Pelham says the city has had 300 phone calls for help and rescued 82 people from homes and about 15 to 20 rescues from vehicles. The National Weather Service Birmingham says a flood watch remains in effect through 7 p.m. due to the potential for scattered showers and storms with more heavy rainfall. Jefferson County Emergency Management Agency Director Jim Coker says the impact of flooding will be felt over the next several days. Boulder has some beautiful weather today with a high of 76 and a low of 51 with some clouds and a few clouds around the sky. This weekend might be toasty, but the hot weather is on its way out. Across the eastern part of Colorado, temps are in the high, lingering in the upper 70s and low 80s across the weekend. As for the western half, a cold front is creeping in with temps beginning to drop off. A couple highs are lingering in the low 70s, kind of around Grand Junction, but they are dropping all the way down to the low 40s throughout mountain towns. Next week could hold the first freeze of the season as we roll into that big cold front that can bring frost overnight before it burns off in the early afternoon. Looking at the rest of the United States, the West Coast is beginning to cool down as we kick off the weekend, with Washington and Oregon getting the first taste of a cold front coming down from Canada and Alaska before it reaches the rest of the country. The southern region is still fighting off highs of 80s and 90s this weekend, with a bit of a cooler temps in the evening. As we move to the northern states, highs are a bit cooler, staying in the 70s, with a couple states reaching the 80s. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday hold higher temperatures, as that cold front from the west pushes some of that hot air out of central and the southern states up north. As for air quality, Colorado is mostly in the green, better than we were a few months ago. Alongside the West Coast, the air is clear except for in those Fresno's and Tahoe regions where that fire is still burning. The smoke is affecting the air quality throughout central and southern California, which could mean that sensitive groups need to take precautions and stay safe. As we move east, most of the states are in the green, whereas cities in southern Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Mississippi are having some issues with yellow and orange regions. The East Coast is mostly green, but with some areas in yellow, like Iowa and Philadelphia. The region is still lingering. As for this weekend, it's time to soak up the last amount of sun before fall truly kicks off. The next 4 days are nice with a mix of clouds and sun. Friday has a high of 75 and a low of 51, and Saturday and Friday are both beautiful, and then Sunday and Monday are a bit cooler with highs of 66 and lows of 40. Now back to you, Georgia.
Coming up after the break, relief for student loan borrowers is on the way. Relief is on the way for more than 500,000 student loan borrowers. The Education Department announced major changes to an embattled federal program. In today's Consumer Watch, Jen Sullivan has a closer look at the impact the overhaul will have.
A major student debt forgiveness overhaul potentially benefiting more than 500,000 people.
Today is a good day for hundreds of thousands of people. They are going to get a fresh financial start.
The Education Department announcing changes to its public service loan forgiveness program. Under new actions, 550,000 borrowers working in government and nonprofit sectors, like first responders, nurses, and teachers, are eligible to have their student debt wiped out after they've made monthly payments for 10 years.
These are the teachers who teach our kids in the classroom. These are the people who take care of our sick relatives.
After calling for changes for years, advocates like the Student Borrower Protection Center are welcoming the announcement, saying the overhaul was long overdue.
This program has been broken. more than 9 out of every 10 borrowers have been rejected, and this has been going on for years.
The program, created by Congress in 2007, has been criticized for being difficult to navigate and riddled with problems, including confusion about eligibility requirements. According to the Education Department, just over 16,000 borrowers have ever received forgiveness under the program before this overhaul.
When there is a 90+% denial rate for a program, it's not borrowers who are making mistakes. It's not individual folks who are doing something wrong. It was a system that had failed them.
For today's Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
That's it from us. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at NewsTeam Boulder. Thank you for joining us. I'm Georgia Worrell. See you next time.